players, pimps, button pushers, what is up? Welcome back to another juicy episode of us just banging around in Last Cloudia. Now, there's been actually kind of a rift in the community, I've noticed, over this character right here, Ruuto. Kind of an oddball character in comparison to what we're used to getting, since he's not a damage dealer. He is the new wave tank, right? The Kyle meta is here. It used to be the Roland meta, right? It used to be the Roland meta, and we saw the tank for the Roland meta. It was Lance Evil. It was Roland's boy Lance Evil. So, this is, the tank for Kyle's meta, and I'm actually glad that they made a character like this. I've actually really enjoyed building him. The thing is, part of the community is kind of against this character. He doesn't do damage. I get it. I totally get it. He's lackluster out of the box, and he feels like his power progresses slowly. So building this character, just a lot of people aren't going to get finished with their build. They might give up on this character just because he's so lackluster, and they're hearing people really complain about him. Oh, there we go. Just needed some water. Yeah, they're hearing people complain about him, and you don't know if the build is going to pay off, and some people just may not want to risk their time. It's unfortunate because I actually do see a lot of good potential in this character. The problem is people are comparing him to, damage dealers. I've even heard people say, this guy doesn't need to do any damage, but he doesn't do any damage. And the thing is, there's characters like Cloudia that don't do any damage, and I don't really hear anybody complaining that Cloudia does not do any damage. And my whole thing is, just to kind of real quick simplify it, when you hear people giving advice for building a Cloudia, for arena, for clearing content, whatever, a lot of the times the advice you hear is make her as freaking tanky as possible. Make it so that she can survive anything, and then she'll keep your party alive and keep you going. Because, that's what a healer can do if you can keep them alive. So my whole thing is Ruuto is literally a healer that can't die. So it's just, I think people just kind of overlook that, right? I mean, it's a very nasty combination when you have somebody that can heal and has a nice casting speed to their heal that literally cannot be killed, and on top of that, he's like unflinching, so it becomes very easy for him to cast. Some of the arcs that I've been running on him, let's see, let's just go over some of the fun little stuff I found. Actually, Maiden's Lovely Banquet. This thing right here, healing magic casting speed plus 22%. I don't have this leveled all the way, but that pretty much gives this guy a plus 72% to his casting speed for his, for his magic, his healing magic. So that makes him pretty damn competent. You would be surprised. And then when buffed by support magic from a female unit, becomes more easily targeted, which is great because he's a tank, and gain defense plus 16%. I think that goes up to a 20. So I mean, this arc is just oddly, it works very well for him. I thought, just because of the quick healing you can get off. I'm not running this arc on him right now. He should still be able to heal just fine. And the thing is, I haven't even wasted any SC on, what is it, concentration, the thing that that lets you cast through taking damage without getting interrupted. He doesn't have any of that on him. He's going into this just as a support. Why do we have the little robot here? Why? Well, because I decided that to test out a tank, somebody that's really here to support and heal, I would want to just bring a fragile little unit along. Just to see if he can keep him alive. That's, I guess, the idea of it. And Kyle is here to actually do damage and, get us through the fight. Another thing that I will say, I feel a lot more comfortable running a dual wield setup on Kyle, which makes him a lot more squishy. If I have a character like Ruuto here, it does make a huge difference. But let's just get in here and see if we can keep this little robot alive. Alright, I think the arc that I have on Ruuto right now just gives him like some damage reduction. And that's right, name giving. Name giving works great. In fact, it's right here. Here's name giving. We're going to power up Cal. And Kyle's going to use his power. And then right off rip, why don't we just heal ourselves? Because we're at half health. The other thing too is this guy is actually pretty decent at recycling MP. And then, you know, he can just use that MP to keep healing. So, very nice stuff. I dig it. I actually really do enjoy him as a character. So, oh, let's see. Looks like our robot almost died. Thank goodness we have that awesome shield. And look at that. We can just cast heals through anything. Kyle, get out here, do some damage, bro. Oh, and this is great. In a crowd like this, to be able to aggro everybody. That's the other thing, too. When I first made a video on this character, I wasn't sure if his aggro was actually going to work, you know, the way that we wanted it to work everywhere. And it does. That's the other thing. I could see people kind of being upset about this character if maybe his aggro didn't actually work. Because I'm hearing a lot of complaints about, well, you know, he's only got 2 things in his kit that he can use. You know, if they work, if that aggro actually works and he can draw attacks away from the rest of your team, hey, let's not forget this guy, he reduces AoE damage by 50% to your team. That alone adds a ton of survivability, IMO, and I just think it's great. You know, comparing that to other units, like, again, we should be comparing this guy to Theria, right? What does Theria have over him? Obviously, besides super duper healing, Theria has a bunch of the different walls, so she can give you resistance. Oh, there we go. He beat me to the heal. What I like, too, is how fast his AoE heal goes off. And obviously, if you add another 20% to that cast speed, it just becomes ridiculous. And again, you can also, oh man, you can just do so much with this guy. I think it's a blast running him. So I'm going to try to run him instead of Theria and just, you know, see where that gets me. Because, like I said, I think his healing's more simple, right? But he actually, I don't want to say he has more of a robust kit, but what I want to say is this. Theria has a bunch of different walls. What are the odds that you are going to use all of those walls in the same fight? You're not. You're probably just going to use 1 or 2. You're only going to need to be strengthened against 1, maybe 2 different elements. So if that's the case, this guy can just bring a wall too. It's not going to be as strong as Theria's wall. But then again, Theria has, you know what, 4 other walls in her kit that really aren't going to be getting applied. You know, so he can still kind of support a little bit like she can. He's not going to be able to resurrect. That's the thing. He's not going to be able to resurrect, but then he's also unkillable, right? And then he also does make it very hard for the rest of your team to die. So it's kind of like, do I need to resurrect people if I can just keep them alive in the first place? I mean, that's kind of the angle that we're taking here. So I wanted to just kind of let everybody know what I've actually been thinking about this character now that I've been running him. And I'll be honest with you guys, I said I was going to try to do some things with impact and see if and what kind of damage I can get out of him. The more I build this character and just see how he works, I'm not even concerned about his damage or messing around with impact. I'll show you guys what I got going on so far. And yeah, if everybody decides to abandon this character and stop building him, I will be more than happy to have the only functioning Ruuto in Last Cloudia. Like, for sure. I will be that guy, for sure. I think there is definitely some cheese-worthy shit that this character can do, and I think he looks pretty damn cool, pretty damn spiffy. I like the sprite, I like the look. And I do like that it's something different. I think this character is still being explored. I really do. There's just so much content to run him through just to see what he can do. But somebody that can run around and heal and not flinch. And you guys just saw him healing without anything but the boost that he has in his kit, that 50% to casting speed to healing spells. I didn't have an arc on him that gave him an extra 20% casting speed. I don't have any items on him that give him any more casting speed. And he's able to just bust those heals out, right? So that is very nice because he doesn't flinch. I don't think that should be overlooked at all. So, and it's just kind of like I don't see him being compared to Theria, and I don't see him being compared to the units that he should actually kind of be getting compared to. Like I said, I didn't even put anything on this guy to make it so you can't interrupt his casting. It's like, he's already unflinching, and he can just find a quarter of a second in there where he's not going to flinch, where he can get the spell off. It just seems to work very well, even when he's completely mobbed. Here's how mine's looking right now. He's at 70 SC, and like it really does take a second for this guy to start shining. The other thing too is, look at this. I don't even have a bunch of hit points on him or anything like that. He just already comes so damn stocky, so tanky. You can go straight for the good stuff, right? So there's a lot of different ways to tweak this guy too. If you're going to a fight where there's only physical damage, then you only have to worry about physical damage reduction. You can start using your SC somewhere else, maybe actually try to generate some damage out of him. Or, if you're going to fight a mage, obviously magic damage is the priority. You can kind of tweak him to be more resilient in that area. So I see a lot of different builds. You can customize him very easily, specifically for the fight that you need to take him to, and make sure that he has everything covered that you need, and making the rest of your team very resilient. Let's also not forget about the killer buff that everybody gets when this guy dies. You can use Soul Spark to activate that, so that can get you through a threshold. Right? I like the huge defense and attack bonus that like your units get, plus non-flinching. That can get you through a threshold. We've seen a lot of these thresholds where at the end the boss will start dropping bombs and he'll start throwing everybody away from him so they can't actually attack him, and that's how your team dies. Well, this kind of gives you a way through that. If you can't be flinched, you can get up there and you can do damage, and you can finish out the fight. So I see this guy being very good for thresholds. Like a lot of thresholds, they're going to throw some kind of big AoE nuke, and this guy can dampen all of that damage and survive the hit, especially if you play his invincibility role correctly. So, and I am enjoying the whole aggro thing more and more. I even went and picked up his armor, and I got his armor specifically for Arena. We're going to have to see how well he does in there. I do just think he's going to be super annoying because it's going to be a Theria that you just can't kill. I mean, he's going to be able to cast spells just about as fast as her, as far as the healing spells. Yeah, it's not going to heal for as much, but it'll be just as annoying because you just cannot kill the guy, right? And we still have to give his S3 some credit. It's not a bad move. It does throw people around. It interrupts everybody around him. So it can be useful. It can be useful if you kind of remember the fact